Memory is RAM.
My mom said I'm pretty smart, and I think she's right. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ljs Garage. I'm sitting in my new, soon-to-be little film studio area. So I've got my desk all set up, and soon I'll have some more decorations and all of those things here. But, you know, I didn't have really much for this week. I got a couple videos that I need to edit, so I decided to do one more video and talk about, you know, building my first little PC here. Yeah. The reason for that is a couple reasons. One, I've been editing on an old Surface laptop for the past 3-4 years almost now, and it's gotten to the point where it's harder to edit, it's harder to smooth things out. It's just become more of a headache than anything. So I decided, one, I'm gonna, you know, upgrade my setup to something nice and new and, you know, hopefully capable and able to handle everything I gotta throw at it. The second reason, this one is for another channel I've got, which is my gaming channel, something I want to get more into because most nights, almost every night, I spend playing Apex Legends. Some would say that I'm a little addicted to Apex and probably game a little bit too much, but it is what it is. I want to at least start streaming and doing some of that stuff. I've enjoyed it a lot more recently than I have, you know, filming cars, which is saying a lot, but at the same time, you know, the car market has gotten crazy. It's harder to get cars, it's harder to film cars, the weather's been, you know, not in my favor, so there's a lot of things and a lot of reasons why I like to have a second channel where some weeks I can focus on this, some weeks I can get to filming cars. I want to do a little bit of both. So with all that being said, I've got a couple different things to unbox and talk about, and I'm going to try to put this together the best that I can. So yeah, wish me luck, because I have limited knowledge on all this stuff. I would say I'm nowhere near a professional. But anyways, let's get to it. Alright, for graphics, we've got a 3070, pretty sweet, I would say. Got our Intel SSD, Corsair, Intel i7, brains of the operation. Ooh. For you smart folks out there, this is an i7 11700K motherboard. It's gonna be the Z590P with Wi-Fi. And then for the cooler, right now we're just gonna go with this guy. It's pretty solid, it fit my budget. I'm hoping that it does a pretty good job. I will need to probably upgrade this in the future if it doesn't. This is gonna be the Lee LandCool 215 with unobstructed performance, all that good stuff. All right, let's see if I can get this out of the box. Oh gosh. Yeah. Come on. This is not the easiest unboxing I've ever done in my life, but I will not be defeated by a box. Alright, so I've got my case out of the box. Let's go ahead and get this cover off of this. Got a nice little user manual, so that's pretty nice, user manual. Set that to the side. I like the white case because I see a lot of builds that are black, so I figured I'd change it up a little bit. No preference really, just try to do something a little different. And there you have it. There she is. Bam, bam. I'll get you guys some footage so you can see what it looks like. Alright, so there you have it. Case is looking pretty good. Let me show you guys the back side. Pretty nice. Pretty sturdy, I would say. I mean, so far it's looking pretty good. I don't have any complaints, and it looks like they've got a little compartment to this left side for a little bit of the wire management. Slides right off. Pretty easy. I didn't really need the instructions to tell me that. You know, my mom said I'm pretty smart, and I think she's right. But this is what this side looks like. Pretty solid. Cable management, I'd say that's a 10 out of 10. And yeah, let's get to the more good stuff. Oh, I guess I'll show you the top side. Got your power button here, USB ports, headphone jack, LED controls, and then a little mesh here, which this has a nice little magnetic cover. So this just comes right off. Alright, so let's get this thing unboxed. I got a heck of a deal on this. Boom, boom. beauty out. I feel like I should be wearing gloves. Bam, bam, bam. I'm just gonna keep this right here. This is gonna be my new work surface. I will say this has been pretty humbling. A lot of times in life, you think you're the smartest person ever, and then you do things like this, and then you go on Reddit, and you go on YouTube, and you see that people that are experts in their fields are truly that, and you're a noob boob, and that's okay. But don't roast me too bad. I am in no way trying to be an expert. I would love to be one day, but for now, this is just for YouTube. This is just for my new little hobby of trying to learn how to do all this. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get my CPU installed, and that's goes in here. So in this guy, there's a little latch thing that holds this in place. All right, so I got this little latch up, and then you go ahead and just lift this guy up, and then it sits right in there. Somehow this is turning into unbox therapy. The one good thing that I will say, just in the little bit I've learned about computer putting togetherness, is that a lot of this stuff is fairly foolproof, and they do make it so that newbies don't feel like they're complete ding-dongs when putting this together. This is crazy. This is not cheap. And there's little notches on the side of this to make sure that you put this down the right way. And if you're ever curious, instructions are nice, but this is what I did. And there's one little corner with the little triangle on it, and it tells you specifically to put that little triangle down in the bottom left corner, opposite from where the hinge is. So I did that. Oh, almost forgot a step. You gotta take this little plastic piece off. Plastic piece off. This is why it's good to read instructions. And then this guy just sits on top of that, and he just locks right in. Oh, so much pressure. Scary. That's terrifying. Okay, so that's done. And then let me grab the motherboard instructions here. And if you guys don't know, I sing in the shower, mostly. But I like to consider myself the sing-songy type. Alright, so now that we've got that CPU installed, it's time to work on our memory. Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro DDR4. Brian, if you're watching this, thank you. Thank you for letting me ask you 1,000,001 questions and educating me on stuff. And I'm still nowhere near where I want to be with this, but at least I feel better. And the cool thing with this motherboard is it's got 4 slots for the RAM. I feel like I'm on an episode of the IT Crowd. Memory is RAM.
Memory is RAM.
That's terrible. If you guys know that show, well, cool. If you don't, I promise I'm not that crazy. I'm mostly crazy, but not that bad. So it says that the recommended configuration is to use this second one and then the last one, if I'm only gonna be doing 2 of these. So I'm gonna go with that. And then there's these little locking tabs that you slide. Looks like it slides on one side, so I'm gonna use these 2 little slots. So let's get these beauties out. And here's the Vengeance for you guys. I know that I probably should have consulted an expert, but honestly paying someone $300 to put a computer together is crazy. First stick here, and then it looks like there's 2 slots on both sides. I don't know if I'm doing this right. So much pressure. It says it just slides right in. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This is probably the part where I should call for backup. Ooh. And it just locks right in. Oh, that wasn't that bad. Alright. I feel like I'm disarming a bomb. This is not cake, but it's not the easiest thing ever. I wish all this stuff was cheap, then I wouldn't feel as scared. Oh. Alright guys, I think they're in there. Alright, so the next thing that I want to do, and I'm honestly not sure if this is going to work out the way that I want it to, but I'm going to try this here, is I've got to fit this cooler on here. So let me grab the CPU cooler. I was about to get the black one, but my buddy Brian, who I also want to thank again for all of this, he showed me this guy. He said that it's pretty solid, bang for your buck. It meets my budget and everything, so that's what we got here. Pretty cool. Now, I haven't test fitted this in the case. This will be interesting, but I'm pretty sure I can get this to fit. We got mounting hardware. Guess you can see what that looks like. This does come with some thermal paste. Boom, boom. Don't eat that. Or do, whatever. I don't like telling people how to live their lives. I believe this is a free country. Under here, there's these 4 holes. And then it looks like this goes right in these 4 holes. Looks like that. And then this just sits up here, so that's a pretty good bracket. Alright. And then I'm going to take these 4 guys. Bam, 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 bam. We're going to go into these little screw holes. Uh-oh. So once you get that bracket in, looks like there's going to be these 4 little guys. This is for the 11700 specifically. So it's got that for the LGA 11700, 1200, 1151, all those. So you grab these little 4 guys and you just hand screw them. And so now I got that on there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that just holds this bracket back here in place. I'm pretty sure I did that right. It looks good, looks promising. Let's grab our cooler. I can kiss this thing. Alright, so I did some digging, and this cooler looks like the fans actually just come off on the side, so I'm gonna do that. And it's nice because this is a lot more manageable. Alright, I had to do some thinking on this one because some things weren't lining up. But I'm gonna take these little brackets, drop them right into place. Drop this bracket into place. That lines up. And then I've got these little 4 guys, which I'm gonna just gently place these. I mean, so far it feels like I know what I'm doing. I'm sure someone's like, ah, this is torture. But you know, I want to show my noobs out there that the hardest part is really finding the parts and understanding really what everything does. So you're able to understand what to choose and how to find a budget that works. That lines up, that lines up. Looks pretty good to me. Nice and tight. Nice and tight. And don't forget this little sticker on the back. You gotta remove that. You gotta pay to play. Alright, so that's good. Thermal paste. Just gonna put a couple dollops. Let's remove this sticker. Ooh. It's time to drop her in place. Ooh. Gentle. Scary. Alright. Fan 1 is back on. I got all my cords too. So that's this. Oh, that's heavy. Looks pretty good, guys. Fans in place and all. So if we have it this way, you can kind of see it. It just goes in right there. Boop, 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 boop. It's not a lot of space to do this. Alright, so now that we got the motherboard together, almost all the way done, I'm going to turn this little panel, and I've got this little bracket, bam, bam, and this guy just snaps right into place. Get in there. There you go. Snap, snap. Cool, cool. Now that that's done, we can grab our motherboard very nicely and gently. And then this just lines up one direction. So these ports are of course going to slide right into where they belong. And I'm just doing this standing up just so you guys can see it, but you could do this laying down. It's a lot easier than trying to move this all around the place. And we'll deal with the cables after this. All right, now that we got that done, it's time to put this power source in there. Probably doing this all sorts of out of order, but such is life. Cables, cables, cables. Ooh, ooh. Pretty, pretty. Going through the power stuff is kind of a pain in the butt, but you guys can see there's all the connections. And then once you grab the motherboard guide, it'll tell you exactly what goes where. So pretty, you know, just take some time to read those instructions and you'll be good. But I'm not going to be the one to explain that because I barely just figured it out. Ooh, look at this beauty. Oh, a warning label. Alright, so now I want to get the graphics card in before I get too far ahead. You're going to notice that right here, you're going to have this little cover. So you just remove this little cover, and that's the piece. This is the piece that's going to slide in right down under here, and you'll see the spot for it. There's a little connector. It'll lock into place. And then on the other side, this is where you see this little bracket with the screw. Alright, so before I put the graphics card in, I went ahead, and this has these little panels already. So you can just take these out and line it up kind of roughly where your graphics card is going to sit. And you should hear a nice little snap, letting you know that this guy's in place. And that's it. And we'll just put the screws in on this side, and it'll be ready to go. Alright, I'm back at it again today, and you guys didn't really miss much. I had to do a little bit of schematic reading, you could call it. So you have to go to the case itself and read through kind of here and see where all these wires go. And if you step over on this side, you got all the wires coming off the board, you got all the wires coming off the case, and you just got to match them up to where they plug in. On the motherboard, I tried to do some cable management. I'm obviously not a pro, so it needs a little bit more work, but for now, I think that's a good spot. Nothing's going to get eaten by the fans. Nothing's going to get chewed up and spit out or hopefully short anything. So I'm excited. We're one step closer to putting her together. Oh, it's on. All right, fixed it. It's quiet now. At least that's it for this part of the video. Next up, programming software type stuff. But not too bad. I think it turned out pretty good for my first build, you could say. It's not quite crazy, but for 1,300 bucks, I think it gets the job done. Well, at least I hope it does. But yeah, see you guys soon. I'm going to test this thing out and see if I can get this working like a full-fledged computer.